Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Greater Good. Today, I have the great pleasure of introducing a real hero, in fact. Officer Eugene Wheeldon is with the Port of San Diego Harbor Police. Hi, Eugene. How are you?
I'm doing great, Jeff. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. It looks like you're in jail there. Are you? Where are you?
I'm at work at the desk, so
Ah,
kind of like jail, I guess.
is that like an FBI wanted poster behind you, or?
That's a Special Olympics get involved poster, and then if you see anything, report it.
Ah,
Suspicious activity poster. So,
nice. See something, say something.
yeah,
It's part of my everyday phrasing. Have to do it. See something, say something, especially
yeah.
as it relates to our human trafficking training, which, as you know, the foundation we're deeply involved in. But enough about that. Let's talk about Eugene Wheeldon. This is the guy. You've been with the department how long now, Eugene?
I'm in my 17th year now.
17 years. Yeah. And have you aged a lot in those 17 years?
Yeah, you can just look at my photo from.
Oh my God, who is that guy?
Yeah, you don't recognize him.
So I invited Officer Wheeldon on today for a lot of reasons, but mostly because I think he represents all of the good that police are in America today, and it's been recognized in Eugene in particular. With he's been awarded Officer of the Year, Peer Support Officer of the Year. I mean, he has a whole room full of recognitions, and those didn't just get handed out randomly. It's because of the work that you do every day. But I think more importantly than those awards is your compassion that you have for people. And I know it's probably a challenge to have people talk about how great you are, especially when there are approximately 50,000 listeners on this show. So yeah, be careful what you say. But so tell me, Eugene, what is your day like now as a police officer of the Port of San Diego Harbor Police? Pandemic, people concerned about defunding police departments. I mean, how has that affected you?
I think you can tell the effects by recruitment. There's not as many people applying for the job as there used to be. Used
Yeah.
to be we would put the application out and we would get way more than we could handle for the test. Now we're barely making the test, stuff like that. That's where I see it is where in
Mm,
recruitment.
right.
I think things are getting a little bit better where you're not having people yell at you when you're on a traffic stop and stuff like that anymore, where we were a year or two ago, where you're
Hmm.
getting a lot more people thanking you and coming up to you and telling you that they appreciate you and things like that.
Well,
So,
well, that's good.
yeah.
Well, I'm a Vietnam veteran, and I remember when I was mustered out in 1968, and people were spitting on me. I thought, yeah, that's nice. So, I mean, things have really shifted in a real positive light. You hear it's very, very common to hear "Thank you for your service." Irrespective of whether they were ever engaged in war or whatever, or police officers, thank you for your service. Yeah, I think you're right. I think more and more people are kind of backing off that whole movement of defunding police officers. We don't need police officers. And oh, by the way, until you need a police officer, then the reality hits the ground. But my question really was more about how has all of this affected you as a person?
As a person, I try not to let like so being 17 years on, you've seen this come before and it goes away and it comes and it goes. So it's always the wave that you got to ride in this job. So if, for me, I know that I can't let it get me down. I got to just keep doing my job, keep doing it the way I've always done it, and it'll eventually smooth out and get back to you know being the job that you love and the people that you're working for appreciating you instead of looking down on you. It's the
Mm,
wave. You just got to ride the wave.
right. Yeah. Well, that's very healthy. So you have a new chief.
We do.
Yeah. Tell
Chief
me about
Fernandez.
tell us all about her.
Um, so she's a very hard worker. She's worked her way up. Definitely worked hard to get where she's at. Definitely deserves her spot. She was an officer when I started, so
Mm,
um, it's cool seeing somebody that you worked with as an officer be able to promote through the ranks and make the position of chief, and our first Latina or Hispanic chief. Also, it's pretty cool.
mm.
I'm very proud of her, and I'm very happy to see this.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, the whole promotion from within. I mean, very often with departments, they do those national searches, and sometimes that's a very important step. But when you've got candidates like you had with Chief Stainbrook to Chief Nichols to Chief Fernandez, I mean, those were all internal hires and internal promotions. So that says a lot about what the health of the unit itself, the family of police officers, and I think everyone in the nation, police departments throughout the nation, are experiencing morale issues. That's a huge thing, and so you are a peer support officer in addition to being airport, marine, on the street, on the beats. I mean, you do it all, but you're also a peer support officer. What does that entail?
So yeah, it entails making sure that my partners and coworkers are taking care of themselves. If there's a critical incident, we'll respond out and talk to them. We all, like, I've been here 17 years, so I know everybody pretty good. A lot of the new people I had as trainees, so I have that bond with them also. So we will respond out and check on each other and give some training here and there and make sure people are taking care of themselves also, not just taking care of the community and the people that they serve, but also taking care of themselves so they can take care of the other people instead of, being upset about something and not dealing with it. We really want people to deal with these traumatic incidents that you're responding to, a child death or a shooting or anything like that. And it's not natural for people to see that over and over. So the body, it takes a toll on your mind and your body. So you
Mhm.
need to get out there and talk to somebody. So that's what we're there for our peers, to make sure they're taking care of themselves before taking care of anybody else so that they can take care of other people.
That's really a nice analogy. So self care is essentially what you're saying. So
Yeah,
do you have like a list of recommended things that people should do to help with self care?
we do. We have a list that we take out, say if there's a suicide or something like that. We have a form that we take out to not only for our peers, but if there's somebody in the community that witnessed it, things like that, that we give to them, and it goes through the steps of, like, you're probably not going to sleep well for the next couple of days. That's normal. Don't worry about it. But if it lasts for 2 weeks, seek help. Like, don't let it be something that continues on. Um, we, like I said, we have that list. We also have the list of peer support officers posted around. It's on the computer. You can find easily for the department officers to be able to reach out to the team members. There's
Hmm.
two team leaders, and then there's members below them. I think each team probably has seven to eight team members, and
Hmm.
then we also contract through private clinicians for therapy that is completely anonymous for officers if they need extra additional help beyond peer support. And we really encourage that because in this job, seeing everything that you see over and over again, I say it's not healthy. It's not normal for people to see that. The average person might see one critical traumatic incident in their life, where law enforcement officers and firefighters are responding to these things repeatedly. So it
Yeah,
builds up over time, and you need to get out to somebody, to a professional, and get it off your chest and get it fixed, and make sure that you're the better person so you can take care of the people that are out there.
yeah, that's really wise advice. I mean, as a department, you guys have had two major officer involved shootings in the last 2 years. You had one over by the convention center, and then you just had one recently with three officers involved in a shooting incident. How does that affect the overall department?
you know We have a lot of good training, so I think people know what they're doing. So that gives them the confidence going into these calls and doing these things that they know what they're doing. They know that they can handle the tasks that are thrown at them. But on the other side, there's that psychological, you know, portion that somebody came to our building and tried to kill one of our officers. So
Yeah.
it's huge, you know. So people are on we're on edge, and I think it's kind of smoothing out a little bit now because it's been about a month, but people are on edge,
Yeah.
and rightfully
Right.
so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of guns out there. I was just reading an article this morning. There are over 400 million guns in America right now, which is, I don't know, what's the total population of America? 350 million, something like that. So you got a gun for everyone and then some. And
Right. I just read an article before we started that says there's about 100 million gun owners in the
yeah,
U.S.
so that
Some
means
people, some people
four
have an extra
four
few.
four guns per person. Uh,
Yeah.
and I know people that have 40 or 50 or 60 guns. Uh,
Right.
but they're, fortunately, they're responsible gun owners and take appropriate training and, are not out trying to inflict harm on the general populations.
Right.
Yeah, that's all
I
very,
think that's the predominant. I hope that that's the predominant ownership also. Around the world.
yeah, I think you're right. I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, certainly these mass shootings and killings that have occurred with some regularity here over the last decade, indicate that something needs to be done. In fact, we were just asked, our foundation was just asked to produce some active shooter training videos for the Port of San Diego business owners and operations. So, we'll look at that.
Yeah, I think that's extremely important because if you're not prepared for something like that, then you're well, you're worse off, right? If you're prepared for it, you have some sort of training, even just the most basic training, it'll help. It'll help you possibly survive and save some people because it's not going to end. We know this that it's going to continue. There's going to be shootings and things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I always say you prepare for what happens before what happens happens. So
Yeah,
even, just awareness is a huge issue. And, certainly you're, as a police officer in a major metropolitan city like San Diego, awareness is a thing that hopefully keeps you alive. So, eyes and ears, keeping an eye on what's going on around you. Most people don't do that. You see them in the store, out on the streets, where they're looking down at their phone and they bump into you, and they're driving and texting and doing all kinds of things that could be easily avoided by just being a little bit aware about who you are and what's going on around you. But so this show's already been kind of a downer. So let's talk about something that's a little more fun, because Sarah, producer Sarah, who is amazing. She makes me look good, which is a lot of work. But so speaking of work, what do you like to do when you're not working?
Oh, I'm a big traveler, big camper. I got a couple dogs. We like to go do get out of town as much as possible, and just drive up to the mountains once in a while too. Beach, anything outside that I'm not wearing this gear.
And speaking of that, that's a lot of gear that police officers wear today. I mean, one of your fellow officers told me it's about 26, 27 pounds. Is that right?
Yeah. They say between 25 and 30 pounds. Yeah.
It's a lot to
So
carry around. So, and the trend that, I'm seeing a lot with other officers is, you're taking things off the belt and moving most of your stuff onto a vest. Is that common?
yeah, because historically officers have back injuries because of the belt being loaded with everything,
Right.
back and hip injuries. So Luckily, I did not have any of those issues, so I moved it up before that happened. I probably had it this way, maybe close to 10 years now. We've had them for quite a while, so
Yeah.
to prevent it. But because historically, but I think there's a lot of agencies that are looking into it because of that. The workers' comp injuries and stuff are dropping. Here, I know we hardly hear of back injuries anymore in comparison to when I first started.
Yeah. So the Port of San Diego Harbor Police is a really unique agency. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about uh, the various missions that you guys are involved in?
Yeah, so we are very unique. We're part of the 5 member cities of the Port District, and we are law enforcement. We are law enforcement around what they call the tidelands on port property, patrol cars, patrol bikes, and on the water we have vessels that are basically like a fire engine on the water. So we're also cross-trained as firefighters for maritime firefighting. So if there's a boat that catches on fire, or a dock or a marina, we're able to pump basically an unlimited amount of water coming from the bay. And
Mm.
if the fire department is able to assist us, and we're able to help them with a supply of water, so there's not a working fire hydrant nearby, things like that. We're also the primary law enforcement at the airport, so we are contracted there. We work closely with the TSA and obviously the FBI whenever there's some sort of call out that's
Mhm.
that they're needed with. Like you were mentioning earlier, we have the Human Trafficking Task Force members on our department, which is, you know, one of the most, in my opinion, the most important task force that we have on our department to help these people that are victims, these innocent people, and hopefully bring them home. We also have explosive canine team. We have a dive team. We have a MARTAC team, which most people would call a SWAT team. Um, what else do we have? We have other things, but I think those are the main things that people are interested in. It's always the canines that everybody are really interested in. But
Yeah, everybody loves the dogs.
yeah,
No, so you don't have bite dogs. These are explosive detection dogs.
correct. Just they're actually TSA dogs, so us being the law enforcement contracted there, they supply these explosive detection dogs and call out the law enforcement, because instead of having like a middle person, it's easier just to have the people that you're going to call anyway have the dog. So
So those dogs are assigned to one officer, and then do they live with the officer? Do they?
yeah, they get to take the dog home. The department builds a kennel for them in their yard at their home, so they get a take home vehicle. They drive home. They take care of their dog, feed him or her, and then next morning the dog's ready to roll. They let them out of the kennel, and they're in the car and on their way to work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So speaking of the kennels, our foundation, the San Diego Harbor Police Foundation, upgraded your kennels last year as a result of very generous donation from one of your officers' brother and his wife,
Yes.
which was really a profound impact on the look and hopefully the comfort of those great professional dogs. So you say that
Now they're all clean.
now they're clean. Yeah, they love those showers. Or maybe not. So TSA, they train the dogs, and then you send your officer to, was it Lackland Air Force
Yeah,
Base?
so they go out to Lackland Air Force Base where they receive the training and pair up with their dog, and they're out there. I'd be guessing if I told you how long they're out there, but they're out there for a while.
I think it's 5 weeks
Yeah,
or whatever. Doesn't matter. They come back and then they get to go to work, and that's
right. And they are tested annually, maybe even biannually, but they have very hard tests that the dogs and the handler both have to pass through.
yeah.
It's not just like, oh, you're done with the training and go sniff around. They have to be tested. They do daily training. You'll see them out in the parking lot setting up training aids, and they're
Mhm.
constantly working.
Well, it's not unlike you. I mean, as a police officer, at least from my observations, the Harbor Police Department, they train a lot. In fact, your training division is probably one of the busiest elements in your entire department, just with your onboarding of new officers and then keeping those that are here, up to speed with weapons, and you guys have so many jurisdictions and interrelations with other agencies that's another very, very unique element of the Harbor Police Department, where you're not only dealing with the citizens of San Diego and visitors tourism, people that come here to enjoy our beautiful beaches and water. But then, you're also dealing with the FBI, you're dealing with Coast Guard, the Navy, the Navy Criminal Investigation Service, DEA, all of the I think I read a list one time, you have like 19 agencies that you deal with on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a lot of memory for a street cop to maintain. How do you do that?
A lot of notes. Yeah, because we're in San Diego. They have their municipal codes. Then we're driving, and then we're a national city because that's part of our beat. And they have a different set of codes, and then you're to Chula Vista, then to Coronado, and everybody has a little bit of different codes here and there. So it's yeah, like I said, I guess just repetitiveness and doing it over and over, and a lot of cheat sheets.
Nothing wrong with crib sheets, that's for sure. That's how I got through law school, as crib sheets. They were called back in the day when we still used pencils and paper. Uh, so you like to travel. So what in your years of traveling, what's the most interesting place you've been?
Probably have to go with South Africa. That was my
Ooh,
favorite place. Went out there and did some cage diving with the great whites, and then did a
ooh,
few safaris, and yeah, rented a car and just drove the whole Southern Cape all the way to the from the Western Cape to the Eastern Cape, and yeah, it was
ooh.
a good time.
Do you know that Cape Town is the sister city of San Diego?
Well, it was weird being there because everything is basically California, like temperature wise,
Right.
terrain wise, just because it's basically equal to the southern portion of the equator as we are northern. So yeah, it
Right.
was really interesting seeing that.
Yeah, so that's good that you got to go see your sister city. One of them. There are a bunch of them around. Like I think Cebu in the Philippines is. Sarah's just handing me a note. Like I told you, if I didn't have Sarah, I wouldn't exist. So she's monitoring my time. She's very good at that. That she has a ruler that she'll come. If I'm like way over time, she'll whack me right on the top of my wrist with the ruler. It's
Yeah,
kind of
you
painful.
probably deserve it, Jeff.
Yeah, that's what the nuns told me when I was in school too. Yes, yes, Jeffrey, you deserve this. This hurts me more than it hurts you.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, I love the whole African region. I mean, it's just gorgeous with natural resources, and the people are amazing.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
yeah,
beautiful.
I did a lot of business with one of my companies in West Africa, in Ghana, Burkina
Oh,
Faso, those areas, which is very much underdeveloped compared to South Africa, which is
right, right. We have an
pretty.
officer here that is from Ghana originally.
Oh, is that right?
Mhm.
Oh, I'll have to
Yep,
chat with that person. Is that Sophia?
yep,
Oh, okay. I,
yeah. That's what she was. She
I
was
thought
born
she
in.
was from I thought she was from Bakersfield.
Well, yeah. Eventually, she was from Bakersfield.
Every day I learn something new and exciting.
Yeah.
But tell me what you don't like about your job.
Oh, hmm. Maybe I don't know. I'm pretty happy with it. So I would say early hours sometimes I really don't care for. Having to
Hmm.
shave every day, I'm not really a fan of
Oh
that. But
no, yeah.
otherwise, if there's something that you don't like about it, I feel like you should fix it and make it make it where you want to be there. Make it happy for yourself. So
That's
far, so far
that's
I've been able to come to work for, like I said, I'm in my 17th year, and
yeah.
pretty much every single day come in with a good attitude, and it doesn't do you any good not to have a good attitude or to be upset or be sour, because you're not going to affect anybody but yourself. And then if you do start affecting your coworkers, then it's time to look at a different job if you're not happy.
See, this is exactly why all of your fellow officers selected you out of, well, back then it was maybe 130 officers plus staff and other people involved to make you the officer of the year. So, um, and I've observed that in my years of knowing you. People gravitate towards you, and I think, well, you're a very welcoming person for one thing, and that helps. And I think I'd like you to keep shaving. I think that's a good thing, because we wouldn't want to hide that. What did Sarah say? That handsome face.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
good
she
shit.
did. I heard her. She said it, and Sarah doesn't lie. She's a mother, so
Yeah, they don't lie.
you know how they are.
Uh,
So we talked about what you don't like about your job, and what do you love about your job? I mean, just like,
what do I love about it? I love my coworkers. They're great. I have a great time with them. It's always a good laugh. I think we really do take care of each other and look out for each other as much as possible. I do love like the giving back too, like with Perkins and the Special Olympics and the Shop with a Cop and stuff like that. I've been involved with all the things I can be involved with ever since I've started. So I've been the liaison with Perkins since we started with that, and the liaison with Special Olympics, which giving back to that community is just there's nothing like it. They are so appreciative. They love law enforcement. The San Diego Harbor Police has been the number one raiser for Tip of Cops, number one fundraiser in the county for several years in a row. We always blow everybody else out of the water. We really do a great job giving back to the community, I feel like, and I really do enjoy that part.
yeah. So just for my listeners' benefit, the San Diego Harbor Police Foundation adopted Perkins K-8 School in the Barrio Logan in 2019. And almost immediately, with Officer Wheeldon's leadership, 9 officers volunteered to adopt a grade level at Perkins School. And so procedurally, if you were taking on, say, the second grade at Perkins, you'd follow those kids to the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth grade until they matriculate on into high school. So, I mean, it's a remarkable relationship building that you and your fellow officers are doing there. And in particular, during the pandemic, I mean, it was more often a lot more meaningful than normally. And, the Zoom calls with those kids, or once things opened up again on campus. And I watch you guys when you're on campus, the kids, they run up and they grab your leg, and they want to get a hug from Officer Wheeldon, or whomever it is.
Right.
And it's great. You guys have done little races out there with the kids, and we've handed out candy, and you participate around the holiday for Shop with a Cop and other events. And so, yeah, you're really to be congratulated for your heart that causes you to take it. And that, for everyone's benefit, that's volunteer time. They're not getting paid to go out there and basically adopt these children. So it's a wonderful thing you do.
Yeah, I mean, and for your listeners also, Perkins, and you probably have the numbers better than I do right now, Jeff, but a huge portion of those children are homeless. So anything like that,
40%. Yeah.
yeah. So it is beyond anything you could imagine when these kids get something extra, or to have a bond with a police officer, because most of their encounters are negative with their parents, either, you know, living in the car, living on the street, or their parents doing something that they probably shouldn't be. So the police are called and they have these negative interactions, not necessarily the kids, but see the police and their parents or whatever. So to
Yeah.
have this bond that we're trying to build with these kids, to let them know, it's not always negative contact. That's why when we go there, we are only there for a good time. We are not there for any type of enforcement. Even if there was something to happen, we are not there for that. We are there just
Mhm.
to build this bond with these kids, to make sure they know that
Yeah.
there's people out there that in uniform that really care about them and want to make sure they're okay.
Well, plus it's a good recruiting tool. I mean, these
Yeah,
children at Perkins County
100%.
and other schools, near your jurisdiction, National City, Chula Vista, Imperial Beach, Coronado, San Diego. Um, you know, we love to have, good people become good cops, and the Port of San Diego Harbor Police is, in my opinion, one of the finest teams in the nation in terms of how supportive they are of their officers. You get cool equipment. You guys don't lack in equipment, and what you do lack, you come to our foundation. And so I'd be remiss if I didn't give a little pitch here about our foundation, the
Yeah,
San Diego Harbor Police Foundation. Not only do they fund my program here, the Greater Good, but they allow me to bring in wonderful people like Eugene Wheeldon, who's been an officer for 17 years with the Harbor Police and is a remarkable human being. Not only is he a good cop, and gets awards as a result of that, but you really put your heart into your work, and it shows. So
I appreciate that, Jeff.
you're welcome, and I'm just thrilled that you could find time to spend with me and my listeners today. And I want to thank again my foundation for allowing us to put this show on. I'm trying to get the new chief on. I gave her
Oh
some
yeah,
dates, so that'll be a fun show. Uh, Chief Magda Fernandez is a remarkable woman who's now just recently appointed as the new chief for that department. Um, and anyone else that's listening or wants to watch this show, please do so. It's available on all your podcast platforms throughout the nation. But the department is looking for candidates. They're actively recruiting, like a lot of the departments, but this one's really unique. And Eugene Wheeldon is a perfect example of how much fun you can have on the job, plus all the good that you do. So, Eugene, I want to thank you so much for spending time with me today. It's been a lot of fun.
thank you for having me, Jeff. It was a lot easier than I thought you were going to make
That's what everybody says. But
it.
sometimes Sarah can tell you. Sometimes I get down into the weeds a little bit with them. If they say smack talk or something like that. You have to
Yeah,
kind of like what you do every day as a policeman.
yeah,
You got these bumper guards on each side, and stay in those boundaries, and everybody's happy.
yep.